So, Circle of Fists, and we are doing the little roundtable action here as the review of NAMM 2019. And so the only person we're missing is Woody. He's not feeling very good today, so we're going to just kind of carry on without him and hope he feels better. So, there's that. Yeah, exactly. Awesome. All right, well, how was everybody's NAMM experience?
Well, I know that Woody wants to thank all the protesters.
Yes, yeah.
Who were at NAMM,
Absolutely.
was it on Friday night or Saturday?
Yeah.
Because
Friday
they
night.
made him feel welcome for
Yeah.
a couple hours.
Yeah. He
In
spent he spent a couple hours with them in the parking lot, stuck in his car. Yeah, exactly. So let's start. Where do you guys want to start? How was your guys' NAMM experience?
I can start.
Okay, go for it.
NAMM this year was pretty fun, actually.
Yep.
I got to see a lot of people I haven't seen in a year.
Right.
But yeah, for me it was really cool seeing all the new gear and seeing all the family.
All good fun stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll just go around, Chris.
Yeah, basically what he said. I just had a blast hanging out and seeing familiar faces and made a couple of new friends and got some contact info. But yeah, just had a blast.
Cool.
I actually had probably my most productive and efficient
Nice.
NAMM that I went, and I only went for Friday afternoon. So I got on the floor by about 12:30. Went and grabbed a beer, stopped by Tsunami, and then saw the people who I wanted to see.
Right.
Was done by 6 o'clock. Then did some of the after-hour stuff, and then was out of there. Didn't waste a lot of time walking around, but saw the people I needed to see, and had a
good.
productive convention. Yeah.
That's great.
I was pretty much on the same program. I went Saturday, and normally I go all 4 days, and I'll go from open to close. And this year I kind of went over what I wanted to accomplish, so I already had it in my mind, and I just went Saturday, went all day open to close, and knocked out the things I wanted to do. Saw some of my really good friends I don't normally get to see except for at NAMM, which is always great.
Yeah.
And I think this is like my 8th or 10th NAMM. So I got my little crew of check-ins.
Yeah.
And it was just a great day. It was a great NAMM this year.
Yeah. Cool. Mark, I know where you were the whole time, but
I was there from opening and closing.
yeah, opening and closing.
All 4
Yeah,
days.
Exactly. in the booth, filming the whole time. And honestly, it's funny because I said this to somebody actually earlier today. That's not a musician, has no idea what NAMM is, and I was saying, it's for me personally, it's like the most hectic, like stressful time of the year, but it's also my favorite week out of like the entire year because I get to see, like you guys all said, there's so many people that live in other countries, live even just on the other side of the United States that I don't get to see other than this 1 week. So this one time a year. So yeah, I always love that. That's a lot of fun and a blast. Cool. Let's talk, because it's Circle of Fists. Let's talk some gear. So what is some gear that you guys saw that you liked, that you saw on the floor? What was some stuff that you guys saw that thought was pretty cool?
I can start first.
Okay, sure.
There's a local builder in San Diego. His name is Roars.
Okay.
And he kind of had this cool star body in old 80s shape that
okay.
very fond of, and it's some signature model.
Everything he does is epic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I finally actually got to touch one, see it in person, and it's everything I dreamed of.
Everything you dreamed of. Nice.
Really nice guy too.
Yeah,
cool.
he's a
So
good
we got
dude.
to actually meet the guy because I've only heard the name
Okay.
forever. And
Gotcha.
on his Instagram, it's just his roars. There's no selfie shots or nothing. So when I met him, I was like, "You're the guy?" I was thinking, really cool guy.
They were on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
So
thought
much
for
taller.
some reason I thought it was going to be more of like an older luthier, like master, kind of quiet, out of the limelight kind of dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, super zen, because they're
Zen guy.
they're choice guitars, and so I'm always like, oh yeah, there's probably some genius at work. But when I met the guy as like a really normal, like super young dude, I was like, oh dude, what's up? Good to meet you. Hell yeah, it was a really cool guy.
It's kind of like Bennett.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I like that age and everything.
Yeah. Nice. Very cool. Chris, anything? I
Um,
know you weren't there for very long, so.
yeah, but I saw the people I wanted to see, so I
Right.
kind of split it up into vendors I like to go check in with, again, just because they're really nice people, and sort of the same thing, you get to see them once a year.
Right.
And then looking for some new cool stuff on the floor.
Right.
So I always check in with the guys from Collins Guitars out of Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Really high quality, guitars, everything. I don't know if everything is still custom order, but it used to be, custom order, wait 8 months, wait a year, something like that.
Right.
Really, and they're the nicest people in the world.
Gotcha.
They bring these fantastic instruments. They're happy to have you play them. They talk about the building process. They talk about all of it. So I really kind of go to school with them,
That's
and
cool.
I check in with them a lot. I was looking for a real specific pedal. I was looking to see, and I would go around to the pedal vendors and guys, and especially the vendors that were out of Asia. So the Chinese, the stuff, the Taiwanese, the other people there, and most of them have interpreters now. And I was looking for somebody who was making a clone, and I couldn't find one anywhere. I would explain what I was looking for, and they would nod their head, but they would just say like, "No, we don't make that." And I was kind of surprised, because it's such a popular
Right. Yeah.
but that's kind of about it as far as stuff that I saw on the floor. Saw some other really interesting stuff, but to be honest, I also saw a lot of people who were making what I thought were kind of uninspired knockoffs of Fenders, or uninspired knockoffs of this amp or that amp. I mean, it wasn't really anything special.
Right.
So
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, same. I saw some knockoffs here. Like, is that a Parker Fly? And you're like, it's this random graphite looking weird stick with some strings that aren't really over the wood, and you're like, and I saw a lot of just where people are, you don't know if it's artsy or if it's science. You're like, wow, is that really going to be that good?
Right.
One thing that I absolutely love is over, I don't know if you guys made it to the Marriott. The NAMM is like at the convention center.
Right.
But then the Hilton has all these classes, and then the Marriott has the Yamaha. All of Yamaha's at the Marriott. And I went over there, and I saw a demo. Andy Winston, freaking one of their guys, and he's amazing, works with the guitars. And he demoed out their trans acoustic, which like in the guitar has built in like reverbs and stuff.
Wow. Okay.
And it's a trip because it's like you play the guitar and then you like dial with the knobs, and it sounds all of a sudden like you just started playing acoustic in a church.
Oh wow.
And it's all built on board the guitar. It's like,
And it was really like authentic sounding.
it's sick. It is really, really insane. And they're acoustics, so they have to, there's a lot of work that they put into them as far as making them resonate right to where it reverberates properly, and it's just not like, oh yeah, it's a little echoplex and stuck in there. They're really insane. And I was talking to Andy, and he said a lot of the equipment they do when they're modeling stuff, they actually, instead of taking it and saying, well, that sounds close to this, or like looking at the waves, they'll take the circuitry of it and then model point to point. So they're like, oh, from here to this capacitor does this, so let's build that into our model. And then from this capacitor to this whatever, which is pretty insane. And then I don't know how many people know, it's not a secret, but I guess about 4 or 6 years ago or something, Yamaha bought line 6. And they're rolling out this year, they're changing, it's still line 6, but like in certain countries, it's going to be a division of Yamaha. And so I was looking at some of their processors and just the amount of computing power that they put into it. Which I don't want to take up too awful long on this part, but that leads me into something that we actually have touched on before. I went by the Dirty Shirley people.
Oh yeah,
Friedman.
Yes. And they have floor monitors that are powered monitors, but they're made kind of like guitar cabs, which works for me because if I'm using just a floor pedal or using like a Kemper or something, if I'm going straight into the house, I don't necessarily need a stack behind me. But to have an actual tuned monitor that sounds like a cab, that works perfectly off of a Kemper or like a Helix or something like that, where I can actually feel like I got a guitar coming back at me and not this monitor guy's idea of what he should be sending me, is pretty legit. So I was really stoked that they had those, as well as I talked to a guy named Sammy, and they had a lot of gear there. It's just, I was pretty stoked.
Yeah, they got a lot of cool stuff. I was going off of, just made me think about this. Joe Zahn from Zahn Basses and Guitars. Well, I don't think he was at the show. At least I didn't see him this year. But he's got some really good, there's some really good videos on YouTube of him, like probably 10, 15 years ago maybe, of him going down in the Asian section and seeing like verbatim knockoffs of his basses and his, you know, his guitars and his stuff. And it's actually really funny. I'm just throwing that out there because that made me think of when you guys are talking about the knockoffs. But yeah, it's really actually hilarious. And he's talking to the guys and they're like, oh no, in-house design, you know, and he's like, oh really? And he's like holding it up, like showing people like, no, I don't think so. You know, it's kind of funny. Anyways, that shit happens all over the place, but just thought about that and made me laugh. All right, cool. So what let's see, on our list of stuff, any disappointments from NAMM? We're going to ping pong a little bit through here, but anything that was a disappointment from NAMM that you were maybe wanting to see, didn't see enough of, dealt with too many, you know, protesters? I don't know. What was some of the...
There's a lot of people there.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there. Absolutely. That's always a big one.
Yeah, that's all I can come
I'm
up
trying to
with.
think of a disappointment at NAMM.
Yeah.
I thought that the some of the demonstrators that I saw weren't very good.
Okay. Like ability-wise?
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
So, I mean, half of them, usually if you see somebody, and plus the number of demonstrators is higher than I ever remember.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
There's more people playing
Right.
at more
Yeah.
booths than I ever remember.
Right.
But some of them were, to be honest, like, you know, not that great.
Yeah.
And for me, unfortunately, it fell into one specific category. It seemed like there are a lot of manufacturers who just said, I'm going to find some young kid and I'm just going to have him stand in front of my booth and just shred for 19 minutes nonstop. There'll be nothing melodic.
Yeah.
You know, there'll
Any
be,
note, as many notes as he
It's
possibly
all
can.
It'll
Yeah.
It's all
just-
sweeps.
It'll just, that's
Yeah.
what it's going to be. It's going to sound like a wall of sound.
Right.
Which is
There's
cool
that
for
guy
like
over
2 or
there.
3 minutes, but then it's just like annoying.
Yeah. right.
Because you can't talk to the person in the booth next door,
Yeah.
or even within a couple booths, because that's going on. I did see a lot of good performers. There's still a lot of A+ people.
Right.
But I saw some people I could have done without too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when for me, it's hard being you know, on the manufacturing side, on the company side. You know, the whole point of NAMM, which I don't think a lot of people get, but the whole point of it is to sell product, and to sell product going to music stores, not to necessarily end users. And so, you know, I've got people that are coming into the booth that are looking at doing like $1,000 deals or multiple $1,000 deals, and then you got to think of some of these other companies that are probably doing $50,000 to $100,000 deals,
Yeah.
and you've got, you know, some ass clown in the booth next to you playing all of Eruption up to the solo because he can't play the solo, and you know what I mean? And it's like, come on, dude, really? Like, we don't need that, you know? And so,
And then starting
yeah.
from the top when they mess up.
Right, exactly, yeah, you know, or whatever. And it's like, that kind of stuff just drives me nuts because it's like, or even the worst one, and I'm not going to drop names, but we had this in a booth that was very close to us, there was nobody in the guy's booth. Like, he didn't have anybody he was demoing for. There was nobody in his booth. He had a bunch of pedals. And, like, we had an artist in our booth performing, playing. We're shooting video of it. And he decides that this is the point that he wants to play his pedals. And I'm like, really, dude? Like, there's nobody in your booth. Like, I've got, you know, we're videotaping an artist in our booth playing. I've got, like, 45 people here watching them play. And you decide that you need to play right now. You know, it's like, come on, man, you know? And so it was stuff like that. But yeah, it's always kind of a battle back and forth with that kind of stuff, and the sound police and everything else. It's always fun.
Yeah, one of my buddies on I think his Instagram, he's like, yeah, anybody that missed NAMM, just slam a beer, punch yourself in the face 3 times really hard and walk into a Guitar Center on a Saturday afternoon. He's like, ta-da!
That's NAMM.
He owns a bar. He's like, Nick, come down to my bar and have a beer. And I'm like,
Nice, good
Yeah.
advertising.
I was a little bit bummed out by the AES people. I had last year, basically all of last year, I just went workshop to workshop, and I met some incredible people and kind of learned a lot of cool stuff. And last year I probably attended a half a dozen AES workshops, and so this year I showed up, and last year they scanned my badge, everything was cool, went in, and this year they're like, oh no, you have to also be a member of AES to come in. I'm like, I want to do one workshop, it's 2 hours, and they're like, cool, we can do a 1-day pass for $250. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to sit in on one workshop. And that really kind of soured the whole thing, because I'm like, you know, they do put out the schedule, and you can look and see what's going on where. And it's just like, that part of it, it said badge required, but it didn't say that it was an additional thing for them.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, that was kind of rough. That's pretty much it. It was kind of...
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah, it was not too much. Like I said, I went with a purpose.
Right.
So other than that, everything kind of just followed through, and then that ended up working out better anyway.
Right. Well, I think that's kind of a good segue into this next one, is for someone who's like we were saying earlier, hasn't attended NAMM, or maybe is planning on attending NAMM next year or something like that, a new upcoming artist, or just haven't had a chance to get there, whatever. What are like some advice for a new NAMM member? I'm going to start, and then one I'm probably going to take most of your guys's, but the one thing I always tell everybody is don't try to see it in one day. Like, don't plan on, like, there's 4 days of NAMM. If you're going to come out and do it, especially if you're traveling to do it, plan on being here the whole time, especially if it's your first time. And I saw lots of people that, you know, had brought friends, and it's their friend's first time at the show, and that was my comment to them was, don't try to see it all in one day. You're not going to see it all in one day. You're going to kill yourself trying, and you're not going to enjoy yourself. You're not going to have fun. So that's my biggest advice. How about you guys? What are some things that...
Vitamin C and hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Especially
NAMM
if you're, especially if you're going to visit all the artists and touch guitars. Yeah, you don't want any of that shit.
Yeah. It's good.
My best advice would be eat breakfast before you go. That's a big deal for me, because I'll be like really hangry and just like in a shitty mood halfway through the day. So always get like a big breakfast before you go and walk around for 6 hours, and then buy comfortable shoes.
Yeah. Comfortable shoes.
Get good sleep, eat a good breakfast, buy comfortable shoes.
Yeah, I would say also like kind of go with a game plan.
Yeah.
Which is really important. I think if you want to make a good use of your time.
Right.
If you're a guitar player, you don't need to be in the band instrument section. I mean, just skip that. You know, I never, to be honest, I'm not making a joke, but I never go to the drum room.
Right.
It just gives me a fucking headache.
Right.
I mean, and you know, I don't really care about drums. So,
Right.
you know, it's cool. I mean, they're all there, but I don't go there. I don't go to the recording equipment. I don't go to the band equipment.
Right.
I'm looking at guitars. I'm looking at basses. I'm looking at amps. I'm looking at pedals.
Right.
I'm looking for some other cool stuff, and that's where I want to spend my time. And if I do see some new product that, you know, like I don't understand it or it looks kind of cool, something like that, I want to have the time to meet that manufacturer and say, like, you know, where are you out of? Like, what are you making? What are you trying to do here? You know, and absolutely spend my time there. So just because there's, you know, I don't know, 2,000 vendors?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Easily.
so you can take 1,000 off the list right away because they're not stuff that you're interested in.
True.
And then spend your time, you know, really kind of cruising around and looking to see some stuff.
Right.
And then there's just a lot of products that, you know, you don't necessarily have to waste your time with, like, the guys who are there who have, like, all the exotic wood to build guitars.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not building guitars. I don't care about that. Or, you know, like the 50 people who are there and they've designed, you know, a better guitar strap. Like, I like my guitar strap. I'm okay with that.
Right.
So,
But mine has LEDs on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's skip the sort of,
Right.
you know, like Billy was saying. I mean, you see some of the guitar designers there, and they're like, this is the new shape of guitar. It's, you know,
Right.
you're gonna wear it up here, and it's only got wood on the top, and then it's, you know, free flowing. And I'm thinking like,
The bridge guy.
no,
yeah.
I have no interest in that. You know, like,
Yeah, exactly.
let's go to something else. So,
Right.
I have something similar to that really quick. We had a guy, I'm not going to say the company or anything, but we had a guy stop us, and he really got us sucked in to like a tornado of, he made a certain kind of bridge for the guitar that was very similar to everyone else, but it was superior in its make and everything, and trying to convince us on the price.
Yeah.
And it was just so over the top and just something that like we all walked away like, I would just buy a Floyd.
Yeah, it's like,
But we were there for like 40 minutes just listening to this guy, and he was really giving it, and like just the whole time we're kind of just like slowly like eyeballing. He's like, are we leaving yet? Like, are you ready? Like, we really got sucked in, and it's totally like that. Like, I like my guitars. We have Floyds already. We're happy. Thank you. Whatever. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, they go on too much.
I'm a planner. My word of advice is the app.
Yeah.
I get the NAMM app usually a week before.
Right.
I'll sit down with like a couple sheets of paper that have the little time slots on it, and then I'll flip, and you can either search by speakers, you can search by artists, or who's going to be guests, you search by equipment, or you can just go down like I said last year. I went just to workshops almost the entire thing, because it's like I know a lot of the people. As long as I see my buddies,
Right.
it's like, oh, PreSonus made something new, and it's like, cool,
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
But being able to say, okay, here's my itinerary, and print it out, and then just go and last year I got so much ground covered just because it was planned. Like, okay, I'll take lunch here.
Right.
Then at 2:00 I want to be at this place. I want to be here. This person's speaking, and it's then you hit up your buddies, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm back from tour, and I'm going to be at this booth. Put them in the box, and it's just great.
Yeah.
The app is huge. It's got little maps on it.
Right.
Help me find Tsunami.
Yeah.
So I go with an app.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely good. Absolutely.
Stay hydrated,
Yeah.
yeah.
eat, comfortable shoes, and earplugs.
Yeah. Earplugs are definitely a big one. Absolutely. Yeah, I was stoked. I don't normally, because of being in the booth the whole time, unfortunately, I don't get to see any of the cool, like, that cool stuff, like the speakers and all that kind of stuff, which I wish I was able to. Sunday morning was actually cool for me because we got in a little earlier than normal, and I was actually able to hit the floor and kind of, like, go check some stuff out and go see stuff. A lot of the booths were still closed, but, like, people weren't there yet, but I was able to run through some stuff. I ran into a couple of people. Ran into John Sullivan from Sully Guitars, which is cool, and so he uses Tsunami cables and stuff. So, so that was cool. Just so like we hadn't physically actually met, just talked through Instagram and that kind of stuff. So that was kind of a cool random just connection. You know what I mean, to meet. Saw some cool stuff, but yeah, that was kind of a fun thing to actually be able to go and like walk the show, and it was really eerie because there was very few people on the floor, so it was like weird just to walk through. And there's like, hey, I can walk through the aisles, and I'm not bombarded by tons of crazy people. Yeah, it's nice, it's at a decent level. It's quiet. So, but what are some other like cool people, conversations, stuff like that you guys had with some people? I know we talked a little bit before about some of the people you guys talked to.
I'll have to get the name and put it on the video afterwards. I just know his name's Kevin. I forgot his last name.
Okay.
But there's a guy who I follow on Instagram who's I think is a rad guitar player, and I ran into him at the Headrush booth.
Oh, okay.
And I have a photo with him. I just forgot his last name.
No worries.
But yeah, he was a really cool. He's a Strandberg user.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
The morning, so I was there Friday, all day Friday afternoon and Friday night, and then the next morning I got up, and I literally just went right down the Harbor Boulevard and jumped on the 55, and I went to the Amigo Southern California Vintage Guitar Show.
Yeah.
And it's just right in the hangar at the Costa Mesa Fairgrounds. They do it every year, same weekend, and probably had been there maybe like 45 minutes, and I turned around and Joe Bonamassa was in front of this display that he had there, and he was just hanging out in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt like always, and baseball cap, and we just started talking about guitars.
That's cool.
And he was the nicest, most down to earth guy. He brought a display with him of blondes, blonde Gibsons that he's working on that part of his collection, and so I just talked with him for a couple minutes, and it was kind of funny because he said we were talking. I said, "Hey, how are you this morning?" He said, "Good, good. How are you?" And I said, "Good." I said, I watched the videos, follow you on Instagram, and of course the playing is amazing, but for me, the best part of your videos is really the educational part, because you'll talk about some detail of guitars that I didn't know, and the whole vintage thing, like this pick guard or this year or blah
history
blah blah
stuff.
blah. I just said you get a whole wealth of knowledge.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that." And so we just talked for a few minutes, and then I could see there was like a whole group of people that were waiting stuff. So I just said, could I snap off a quick? He's like, "Sure, no problem. Whatever you want." So I took a quick picture and then kind of was on my way. But total down to earth guy, really nice, really nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, my hero Sylvia Massey. She was the one I wanted to go see at the AES workshop, and I couldn't get in, or I didn't get in, and I caught her coming in. I said, "Hey Sylvia, I was going to go to your workshop," and she goes, "Yeah, the AES people, they got their thing." She goes, "As soon as I'm done here, meet me at Earthquaker Pedals." And I was going to say they might have a clone because Earthquaker has some pretty rad pedals.
Yeah, they got a lot of shit.
Yeah, and so I go, cool. So I go down to there after I went and hung out with Tsunami for a bit. Woo! And I'm just hanging out, and she rolls in, and then she was doing a panel with like 4 other major producers. And it was funny because she turned around and introduced me, because I just talked to her upstairs, and I talked to her last year at NAMM. She just started introducing me to people. She's like, "Billy, this is, Ryan Hewitt from Nashville. Ryan, this is my friend Billy." And I'm just like, that's so rad. She's so incredible and down to earth. And then she's like, "Billy, this is Ross Robinson." And I'm like, "Hi, do you work with Earthquaker?" And she's raddest person in the world. She's like, "Billy, Ross is a legendary record producer that changed the sound of music as we know it." I'm like, "Nice to meet you, Ross." So
hold on a second, let me take my foot out of my mouth. Nice to meet you.
props to Sylvia Massey.
That's
She's
cool.
Just, as far as an incredible person, it's just so approachable and such a wealth of knowledge. I mean, dude, you look at her track record, producing Prince, producing System of a Down, producing Tool. It's insane. And then that was cool. And then Gibson was there this year. And so I spent a little bit of time there, and they were doing a thing where if you visited their little booths, and get your little card stamped, you could actually win a free Les Paul.
Okay.
And so they had some engraver guys. It was pretty cool, and I started talking to one of the guys because I have a 1935 Gibson. And so he wanted to see pictures. I broke it out, and he's like, "Oh, let me show you." And then we started doing the picture compare, where he's like, "This is the original, I forget what type of sander it was that they had at Kalamazoo, Michigan, that's now at the custom shop in Nashville, that they do all the old arch tops. I don't think they use it anymore, but it's just cool." He's like showing me all this old vintage gear that they're actually setting up.
That's cool.
And I'm like, "Yeah, that's pretty rad." And so we talk guitars, because even though I don't have a deal with Gibson, I have a lot of their guitars. So yeah, so that was pretty rad. But Sylvia is just, I can't say enough rad stuff about her.
Nice. That's great. Very cool. Anybody else? Anything else that was people that they talked to, or anything else that was cool? Okay, that's fine. Let's see the list. Biggest waste of time or / money. Chris, you got one? You look like you got something.
Yeah, I would just say I think that there's a lot of people who are there who are I don't know. I don't
Say it. You're not going to piss anybody off. Well, you probably are going to piss people off, but that's okay. That's what we do.
The whole poser effect. It's not. I think that NAMM is, for me, like here's what I understand. NAMM is really kind of, it's learning more about the business of music.
Right.
Like if you're an artist, you're there to maybe find and forge a relationship with a good manufacturer.
Right.
Or if you're get a slot to maybe perform at NAMM,
right.
You have to understand, like, no one's coming to NAMM to see you play.
Right.
They're not. So there's this whole sort of factor. That's why I avoid a lot of it, of people who, sure, it's fun for them to dress up for the day and for this or that, but sometimes you run into people who, have this attitude like, you're supposed to know who they are,
right.
Because
I'm kind of a big deal,
right? They're the best tribute, band out of Imperial Valley, and I don't really care about that,
right? Yeah.
So I would just say, like, skip all that stuff and sort of check your ego at the door,
right?
Walk in, and if you're genuine with people and respect their time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to NAMM. I'm not going to place an order for 1,000 of your guitars.
Right.
But he might be there to order 1,000 of your guitars.
Right.
So I don't want to take up your time.
Right.
When you're really there to do business with him. Like, be respectful of other people's time. That's
Absolutely.
what
I think it's
the
great.
number one rule.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I almost bought a ukulele. I was talking to one of the Chinese builders, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this ukulele, and it's great." And I go, "How much is it?" And it's like $11, and I'm like, "That is a great price on a ukulele." And I didn't realize that he was expecting me to be a vendor, and he goes, "Yeah, 11,000." I'm like, "That's fantastic." He's like, "Okay, you want 1,000?" I'm like, no.
Billy comes out with all these boxes of ukuleles. Guys, I need some help. I got 990 more of them in the back. Hey, I got them for $11 a piece. It was a great deal.
What a deal! Yeah. So there's those people. That's pretty.
That was
caught
pretty
me
funny.
off guard.
Yeah.
I think you and I both know plenty of the people that come in the big suits, and
Oh yeah.
I have a couple buddies that just their whole Facebook or Instagram feeds were just pictures of people that sort of look like other people. It's like, oh my God, there's Motley Crue. It's like these two short little Asian dudes that kind of look in a weird way. Just quit. You're like, oh, that's good. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Time waster. I have a hack for it too.
Okay.
So it's a lose followed up by a win.
Okay.
Parking.
Oh,
it's expensive.
Yep.
It's usually far if
Yeah.
you're not staying at the Marriott or the Hilton.
Or you
and
get
then
there
it's
super
double
early.
expensive.
Yeah, or you get there super early.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But there's a secret entrance I didn't know about, and some guy directed me there, I think last year or the year before, that is on the loading. It's usually where the vendors come in,
Okay.
but it's in the very last hall on the far side. So it's not in the front, and it's not on by the hotels. It's the opposite side of the hotels.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking about. I think it's where we go.
It's
in.
basically
yeah.
the transit hub.
Okay.
So if there's the buses come in and out, and there's a huge parking garage.
Okay.
And the second story has a bridge
Yep.
that just comes straight in.
Yeah.
There's never a line. There's never anybody there. And the crazy thing is, if you park, you got to park almost like a mile away.
Right.
Because of where the police block off the street, say no event parking.
Right.
But you can park there, walk to the parking garage, and get into NAMM probably in the amount of time it either takes you to park in one of the main garages and walk to the super long line,
Right.
and then you're not even in. Or like Saturday morning, if you try to come through the front door, you got a 90-minute, 2-hour line just to get your badge.
Yeah.
And I came Saturday morning, came in through the parking garage, crossed the bridge, there was no line. They're like, come on in.
Yeah.
That easy.
Yeah. One thing I noticed, and this is a good and a bad thing, is security was a lot lighter this year than it was in previous years.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we were talking about
nice.
it. Yeah, I mean, even on an exhibitor side, like there was times in years past where even with an exhibitor badge and everything else, they're like, well, let me look through all your stuff. Why do you have 15 cables? I'm like, because it's my business. You know what I mean? Like, you know, or whatever, you know, and stuff like that. And,
You're all Reed's shirt.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, you know, but, yeah, and then this year, man, like we were talking. I mean, Mark had like a suitcase
last year,
with his camera in it.
All the camera equipment out, tripods, everything, you know, on the floor.
Yeah.
Then you got to put all that stuff back in, and people behind you. This year it was just like exhibitor badge. What you got? Okay, go.
Come on in. They needed.
There was a morning when we got there. There was
amazing.
a long line for like the metal detector and everything, and we were like, "Fuck, yeah, all right." And you go, and to the right of it was just a rope. Like there wasn't any. It was just a guy in a rope, and that was it. And he could kind of see our badges. All. If you got an exhibitor badge, just come over here. I was like, for real? He says, yeah, just let me see your ID. You can go in. And then, cool. So he's like later to the line. And here you go. All right, cool. Let's go. Let's keep walking. It was great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely always
It
good.
was really nice this year not having to put up with,
Yeah.
you know, body cavity inspections every time you went in. You know, only one day that they even looked for my ID. Just as I saw the badge, boom.
Yeah, come on in. Yeah, it was that was something that was nice. I know in previous years that was been a huge headache. Is parking and then the security as well was always just super crazy.
And if you're going to NAMM and bringing an instrument, you have to sign the waiver to get the instrument in the
They're
building.
gnarly about if you bring a personal instrument.
Oh yeah,
They are.
absolutely.
So.
Yeah, and my suggestion would be unless you're planning on getting something for that instrument, like you need a new bridge or you need something, whatever, don't bring one in. Honestly, there's so many instruments. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I thought the same other than also getting it signed.
Okay, I can get that. I can understand that.
There was a year I got to meet Eddie Kramer, and I was like, I really wish I could have had him sign one of my guitars. That would have been rad.
Yeah, I can understand that. But yeah, I would suggest to not bring an instrument in just because it's such a pain.
Yeah.
And getting it out too. If you don't have an exhibitor badge, you got to have an exhibitor either walk it out for you or get it signed as well and all that crap too. That's a pain in the ass. So, yeah. So that's most of our list. After NAMM, follow up. So NAMM's done. What are we doing after NAMM? Is there anybody we're in particular like planning on following up with? I mean, I've got a whole laundry list, but that's because it's the company. But
if I could go, it kind of goes back to gear. I didn't
Sure.
say it earlier.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Guitars count, obviously, right?
for what?
In the whole gear category.
I guess we could count
no,
guitars
okay.
as gear, sure.
Yeah, no, one. I didn't know if you were gonna do a separate guitar category and then like pedals.
No, you're good.
But no, there was a company called Free the Tone that I was really just extremely surprised by, and it's a Japanese company, and I don't know the name of their delay pedal, but they have a delay and a chorus pedal that they let me use.
Okay.
And they're very like intimidating looking with lots of like buttons and lights and craziness. But when they explain it and tell you what it's like every little box has a bunch of knobs and lights and it's another little box. And so when they explain it, you kind of can tell that you can do anything. Like it's parameters for everything you can think of.
Wow.
And so, he says, well, do you want to try it? And the tone of it was amazing. It was really... and so we check out the pedal and it like weighs nothing. Like it's probably the size of like a good dual channel pedal. It's a pretty decent size, and but it's like hollow feeling and it sounded super good. He says, well, try the chorus too and everything. And he already knew I was hooked, so he's
baiting it,
for real. And he's like, well, try the chorus and click that on. Try the roto sound with the chorus, and we're gonna do 2 delays at once. And I was like, just sitting there like, oh my god, this is amazing.
He's like, can I hug you now?
Yeah, it was so cool.
Safe word.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. And then other than Jeff Loomis came out with a new Jackson.
Right.
That we blew all. None of us really agreed with the price. I think the price is just more of a. It was just to make it's $6,666.66. Yeah, I think that was just a joke from Mike Shannon or something. But other than that guitar, the other thing I was gonna say was at the Gibson booth. I got to play the best Gibson I ever played, which was a replica of a 57 Black Beauty.
Okay.
With a Bigsby. It was a black and gold triple pickup Les Paul, and
Wasn't just racks where they had sitting there just...
And they had an amp every few with like a pedal board. You couldn't plug in the pedal board. They just had it there for looks. And we were like, I was so annoyed. I was like, man, I'm clicking on these pedals like...
Nothing's working.
What the hell? And so you just go direct into these little amps. But those are like, even though it's a replica of a 57, those are the ones that like made the lore, like made it a magical thing. It was extremely, I was big shock. I've played lots of Les Pauls. And so I got in there and it just did everything that you would joke about it doing. It did like a minute-long sustained note just effortlessly. Like no gain adjustments or anything. It did jazz tones perfect. Everything it just did it on the money. And I was like, oh, yeah. And the guy after me playing it just thought I was just like being over the top about it. And he was just kind of amusing me like, cool, all right, cool. And so like, you want to try? And after like 30 seconds of that guy playing, I see what you mean. So I was like, one day, 57, epic. But yeah, favorite three things at NAMM are those things.
If you get a legit reissue where the company actually like specs it out and does it, they're pretty magic.
Yeah, wow.
Pretty magic.
Yeah. I think it was plugged into a Mark 1 too, so it was pretty sweet also.
No, it was a new Mesa.
Yeah, they came out with a new 50 watt.
Fillmore
50 watt.
Rad. I was impressed by Gibson. I didn't know what to expect. I was like, oh wow, they made it this year because last year they weren't there. I was like, well, let's see what they got. And they had like, even at the booth where they're showing people like, oh, this is how we do the binding and here's how we do the engraving, and like each guy was like a custom dude, like grizzled old jacked up looking fucker. Like doing magic
Father Time.
That's the technical term.
With wood, you know, you're like
grizzled fucker.
Whoa, you know, you're like
they're just like druid masters.
Yeah. It's it was pretty rad. It was good to see Gibson there, and then there's a couple people performing, and I was really stoked with them. And then of course I went to Taylor because one of my really good friends is a Taylor guy, and hang out with all those guys, and they make great guitars too.
Yeah.
I would say the follow-up for NAMM is have some self-discipline, and at most make yourself a list of at most 5 people to follow up with and what you're trying to do with them. And be prompt. If you tell yourself, I collected these 25 business cards, you're not following up with 25 people. It's, and 24 of them aren't going to remember you anyways.
Right.
So make yourself a list of maybe 3, at the most 5, and figure out what is it you're trying to walk away from. And it might not even be the manufacturer. Like it might be someone else who's there. Like, I want to get these photographs from someone, or I want to get this video from someone, or I want to send this follow-up email because this person told me about this event or this festival, or whatever it is. I want to follow up with them about that, or some mutual contact that you met. I met a friend through a friend. Follow up with them. Do you remember me? I was Billy's friend. You were talking about doing stuff in Nashville and blah 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 blah. Keep the list really short, but act on it and follow up, and like I said, have some a time schedule and some good discipline, and that's what will really make NAMM productive for you.
Absolutely.
I could not agree more. That is solid advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I want to add to that too is on the company side, and I'm obviously is a lot smaller company than a lot of the ones that are out there, but understand on the company side, we just got back from NAMM. We've got all this stuff going on. People are hitting us up, a lot of stuff. So understand, you send an email, follow-up email looking for endorsements, looking for whatever, it's going to be a little bit of time till they get back to you, and just understand that if you don't hear something back in a week, don't think they're just blowing you off. A month. Yeah, exactly.
Be realistic. If you're an artist, you have to remember it's music manufacturers.
Right, exactly.
That's people are there trying to do business deals. That's what I was saying about being respectful of people's time.
Right, absolutely.
John Moody, a great example. Like, I know what John's role is there for GHS.
Right.
So if I just take 2 or 3 minutes and say, hey, John, how you doing? It's nice to see you. It's nice to see you playing. Blah, blah, blah. He'll be like, hey, Chris, nice to see you again. How are things in Murrieta? boom, it's over.
Right.
I'm not, I don't want to snare him for 25 minutes and, tell him how great my band is doing, because he's not there for that purpose.
Right, exactly.
So, be respectful of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the flip side of that, we can, as company owner, and even knowing John too, I know that means a lot more on our end for as an artist coming up saying something that then like, there was that one guy who talked to me for a freaking hour and I couldn't get rid of him. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, and again, I'm not going to drop names, and I don't know if you'll see this or not, but there was a guy that came into the booth and was talking to me and was like talking about like the local police department that he volunteers for. So, and I'm like, and there's like 6 people waiting to like, hear what I'm doing, like want to buy stuff or whatever, and I'm just like, okay, cool, man. And it's like really hard to be a jerk and be like, hey man, like I'd love to talk to you about this, but this is not the time. You know what I mean? It's like, but you should know that. You know what I mean? Like as the person approaching a company, you should know that going into it. Like, I'm not going to take this, an hour of this guy's time.
But there's one other thing I just want to follow up on, and
absolutely.
that was we were talking about, what's important for the manufacturers.
Right.
If you are lucky enough to be invited or asked to play,
Right.
you must be flexible with what the manufacturer needs.
Yeah.
And so what that means is if the manufacturer's like, hey, I want you to be here at 3:00 and, play for, 15 or 20 minutes, you show up at 2:45 like always, you're early, you're prepared, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
But if he says, well, these 2 guys just stopped by from New York and, we're in the middle of like
Right.
me doing this or that, why don't you swing back around at 4, go have a beer, like, that's the answer. Go have a beer.
Right.
I'll see you at the hour. Like you have to understand.
Absolutely.
You're there for them.
Right.
You're not there for you.
Yeah.
So that's really important that people understand. The purpose of being there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that gets. I think a lot of people, because of the social media craze with it, get that skewed. They take it as like, oh, well, I'm just there to meet rock stars. I'm there to try to get signed. I'm gonna be, I'm gonna come in to NAMM being a garage band player, and I'm gonna walk out headlining, a multi-international tour, taking over the galaxy.
That are like that.
And it's like, no, dude, this ain't gonna happen. Like,
they're gonna be famous.
You're gonna be lucky if they sell you a dented guitar. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever.
I don't know, man. If you're the 8-foot super mummy, it's got
Maybe.
karate skills while you play guitar, you might.
Maybe. It might happen. It might happen.
The only kind of fame I think you could get from NAMM is like, if you really think you should go there and come back, is like a guy we're both fans of is Tsunami. And if you're amazing, like you really have to be good, he'll post a video of you and everyone in the world will see it. But that's like the closest you will get to what you're thinking of, you know what I mean? Because I know so many people are like, we're going to talk to this company and we're going to work out a deal, it'll be cool.
Exactly.
Like, sure.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll see you at Winco.
Yeah.
A month from now.
Yeah, and it's not, I don't want to discourage anybody or take the wind out of anybody's sails as far as NAMM goes or endorsement stuff or anything that kind of stuff goes. But again, like you were saying, it's like, what's the point of NAMM? You know what I mean? And that's one thing that always bothers me when I used to walk around the shows and that, and you'd see these hordes of people like getting an autograph for somebody, and it's like at one point, like I had to go up to Labella Strings because they needed a cable. Their cable crapped out on them. Mm-hmm. So I went and, got them a cable and talked with them. And I had to like walk like 3 aisles around them, because a booth next to them was having a signing. I don't know who it was. Joe Blow, somebody who played something in the 80s, probably. And there was this line of, all these guys and all these women, like, to get this person's autograph. And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Van Halen? Never heard of them.
Yeah, right. It's like, screw those guys. What do they know anyways? And so, he didn't play that drum intro. There's like 10 guys on that show. Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, but that kind of stuff just is frustrating. You know what I mean? It's like really, it's like I'm here to do business. I'm trying to get through just to do business and then get back to the booth. And I gotta go, walk around and do this, and it takes me 20 more minutes just to do that, or whatever. So, anyways, that's my gripe of now. Cool. Well, anything else? Anybody else have any 2 cents or anything else they want to throw into the NAMM
Sometimes the shit show is my favorite part.
Oh yeah, I can understand that.
You're like,
I can understand.
oh man, this is just.
The people watching is always good.
Oh,
It's
that's-
always
yeah,
good.
fantastic.
The
best.
people watching is really
You
good.
can just get a bite, sit back.
Oh yeah, it's always good. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's Mini Kiss. You know that random like
Yep.
shit you see. And
Oh
you're
yeah.
I keep looking for the AARP booth.
Like, yeah.
I mean, come on, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Rock and
Yeah.
rollers don't age well.
Yeah.
So I was
You
I was looking for that.
There was a company that wasn't there, and they were there all the days except for the day I went to go see them. And I was super
Yeah,
bummed.
I knew you were coming.
Yeah, well,
Wait, this is like a company with a booth?
no, so they had these.
They were sharing a booth. Okay,
They had
all
these
right,
like
all
big
right.
group booths of all these crazy pedal companies, and
Oh,
one
okay.
of them's called Maris, and I'm
Okay.
really interested in checking their stuff out. And no one sells them like commercially, Guitar Center or something. So
Okay.
I went there, and everyone was checking out all pedals, like every pedal that they had on demo, what everyone was using. I was like, all right, well, we got to go and film whatever. So tomorrow we came back. And it was the last day, and they'd been there every single day. And so on Sunday, I went there and was like, "Hey, is Maris here?" And they're like, "They didn't come today, man. I'm sorry." Really? I was like, damn. But yeah, next year.
That's funny. Awesome. All right. Everybody good? Cool. NAMM was
Great.
awesome. NAMM recap.
Success.
It was a good experience.
Boom.
It was all right.
Done.
Whatever.